Say hello to the Hummer EV SUV.
Oh, it's an EV.
What do you think?
So there's a frunk?
Yes, there is a frunk.
Cool. It looks very aggressive.
It's giant.
Very cool.
This might be the biggest vehicle you have ever been in.
I would like to own one of these guys.
That's the first impression?
I mean, yeah, it's pretty high up. I love high up cars. You know that.
It gets even higher up.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Here's a welcome sequence. Look, it's on the moon.
Cool.
The moon theme is very prevalent on the Hummer EV. So we have spent a good amount of time with the Hummer EV pickup truck. When it first came out, we were in Scottsdale off-roading it in the desert. It is just utterly ridiculous, but they make it in two flavors, the truck and the SUV. So this week, we're spending some time living with the SUV. It still has all of the over-top Hummer EV-ness. It is the most Hummer of EVs, absolutely enormous. And I'm actually taking a trip to Chicago this week, which I did not think through because I'm driving a couple hundred miles, which means I will probably spend $200 charging this thing this week, but you know, it'll be a lot of fun.
Honey,
What?
you startled me.
So to enter Watts to Freedom mode, you double tap the traction button, the seat vibrates, you get the animations, the noise, the vehicle lowers. Look at that graphic. All right, Watts to Freedom. This is the Hummer EV-ness, right? This is just over the top everything, the theater, all of it. Now we just wait for the light to turn. Honey, hold on.
Oh my god! You did not give me time to hold on. Maniac laughter.
That's Watts to Freedom. What does that stand for? Watts to Freedom.
I don't know.
WTF mode.
Oh.
That's what they call it. Do you want to do Watts to Freedom mode again?
No.
Finally back home for the weekend after a bunch of traveling. So it's date night. We're getting pho, Vietnamese place, and then Costco. Everything looks so small. That Corvette over there looks like a toy. On one of our early dates, we were at the mall and she goes, "Oh my God, this pair of shoes is $8. And in reality, they were size 8 and they were like $70.
Hey, that was a blonde moment. And in my defense, I did buy a pair of shoes for $4 before, so.
Did you steal them? Were they size 4?
No, they were not.
Whenever you're in a tall vehicle, you have the reverse entry method.
Okay,
you like back and beep,
My lower body is super sore from the gym.
beep, beep.
That's why. That is why.
That is also why there's an entry-exit mode for the Hummer EV. That was good pho. Would recommend. This welcome sequence is so cool. They have some really nice graphics on the Hummer. And I mean, these are a couple years old now. When they first came out, I was like, wow. Do you see the mode changing animations, honey? So
Yeah.
when we cycle through, like, they look really cool. There's my mode.
Looks like a video game.
Oh, yeah, it's Unreal Engine. That's Mars for off-road. The moon, or it's a volcano for terrain. Tow haul, we're pulling a Saturn V rocket. And then normal is just on the moon. Costco practicality test with the Hummer SUV. So we have a button down here. So it's a power open side opening tailgate. Very fancy. The one thing is, if you're short, this load floor is like extremely high. The air suspension will drop down a little bit for ease, but like I'm pretty tall and this is right about waist height. Oh, that's interesting. The floor's like it's like
Yeah, you can't move it.
You can't slide
You can't
things.
slide
Like that's
things
all
over.
of my body weight. The
That's
sheer
pretty
force is-
helpful.
Being an adult means being excited when you get a new blender set at Costco.
Yeah, for all the protein smoothies.
And we can make those like fancy roasted one-pan
Blended
smooth
soups too. Wow, very practical. I mean, how can it not be? It's huge. It's wide.
And then you press the button again and close the tailgate. Which is important because with that full-size gigantic spare tire and wheel,
Oh, that's
that would
right.
be so heavy to slide back and forth. And then return your car. So you want to know a really funny, quirky thing, honey? Watch this. Ready? The windshield wipers?
Whoa, there's 3?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It's because it's such a wide windshield and
Yeah.
it's very like short. Yeah, there's three little windshield wipers on the Hummer.
That's kind of cute.
Yeah, look at the angle
know.
pointing down. Like everything is tiny. That's a Jeep Compass. I guess that's already kind of tiny, but like there's an F-150 in front of us and that looks small. Talk about an imposing view in the driveway. The Hummer EV definitely has presence. Just utterly gigantic. And I'm glad to see different colors now. When they first came out, they were all white for the trucks, and now we're getting some cool different blues like this one. There's a matte blue version available. It's like a special edition, but the blue over white is definitely a cool color combo. So the Hummer EV does have a front trunk. Go ahead and open that. You can open it on the key fob. Power open. We currently have my gym bag, and then these are the bags for putting the roof panels. It's designed to fit in here, but you can throw some groceries in here. And then there's a button down here in the middle. You can press that, and the front trunk closes. We are heading off on a trip to Chicago. I'm down to about 34% charge, showing just under 100 miles of range, and it's about a 300-ish mile drive, so of course I'm gonna have to stop to charge. The Electrify America station closest to me has all the chargers down, so I didn't charge up last night or this morning before leaving, but I found a charging station about 70 miles away in Lansing, Michigan, so we're headed there now to charge up. And when I said this is the most Hummer of EVs, I meant they took the philosophy of the previous Hummers, right? The most inefficient, just beastly, gigantic SUVs, and applied that to EVs, right? This is probably the least efficient EV you can buy. I've been seeing well under 2 miles per kilowatt hour, which is pretty bad. Even on a full charge, the range would be close. I think the EPA rates this 3X at 314 miles of total range. It's got a gigantic battery pack. There is an extended range battery pack option now, which ups the range to like 380 something, but this one does not have that equipped, so we'll see what it's like. Actually, I'm probably not going to fully charge it. I'll just get it up to 80% or close enough so I can keep driving. But yeah, don't buy this to be an efficient EV, right? It's very much the Hummer philosophy, just applied to electrification. So this is what makes me nervous. I have 62 miles left on this drive, but we're showing 87 miles of range remaining. So the rate at which the range is dropping is faster than the miles are going down, the distance I'm actually traveling. That's because I'm going less efficiently. I'm doing 73 miles an hour on the freeway, but 1.4 miles per kilowatt hour. So that's why it's dropping. Oh boy, I guess I could slow down a bit, but these are the kinds of things that make me a little more nervous. Okay, that makes me really nervous now. Arriving with 2% battery remaining. I'm using the built-in Google Maps because it integrates with the range estimates. All of a sudden, now I'm regretting not charging up before I left and doing so many Watts to Freedom launches. Speed has a pretty big impact on efficiency, so I dropped Super Cruise down to 68 miles an hour, and now we should be arriving with 7% range, which makes me a lot more comfortable. Turns out I did not need to worry. We have arrived. Still have about 10% range remaining. And we've got some Electrify America charging stations, only one occupied by a Lucid. I want number 3, that's the fast one. Yep, charging session error, fantastic. So this 350, even though it says it's working, it's not actually working. So this gentleman in the Lucid is done charging, so we're gonna take that fast charger, the 350 kilowatt. That one should work because he was just charging up. Kind of funny. That's one of the most efficient EVs you can buy and one of the least efficient EVs you can buy. Those Lucids definitely are impressive. All right, 200 kilowatts being delivered. Give me some fast electrons, please. The Hummer does have a really cool charging animation with the front light bar headlights here. You see that one little blue bar. As it's charging, it'll fill up and gradually all go blue. So pretty cool charging animation on the Hummer. I will say, now that we're hooked up to a charger that is working properly, this thing is charging quite quickly, over 400 miles per hour, 43% already, 133 miles of range. Not bad at all. Gonna do some work while I am waiting here, and I got lucky with when I showed up because the charging station is definitely getting a lot busier now. All right, we're at 99%, showing 305 miles of range. Your charging rate is gonna drop off very quickly once you go above 80%, and it's not the best to keep charging, but I wanted maximum miles because I've head all the way to Chicago. You see the charging indicator up front is pretty much full with all those blue bars. Pretty cool. We'll go ahead and unplug and hit the road. So we got 172.924 kilowatt hours, and that total cost is $102.63. Wow. All right, back on the road, and as soon as we hit the freeway, we turn on Super Cruise, which is one of the nice parts of road tripping the Hummer EV. When you have Super Cruise equipped on a supported hands-free road, you just sit there and pay attention, and Super Cruise does the majority of the driving all the way to Chicago. One of the less nice parts is going to be how much this will cost to road trip. My friend Drake actually gave me a heads up because he recently did a road trip in a Hummer EV, and he was like, I spent $250 charging this thing, and I was like, oh, I'm about to do the same thing. It's gonna cost me $250 to charge this thing for the drive I'm about to do too. But this is not meant to be a frugal EV. You don't buy this if you're trying to be frugal. Just look at the price point, the sheer size and magnitude of this thing. This is so excessive and over the top in the most hilariously awesome way. This is a halo product for GMC. GMC engineers got to have some fun with it. Take a look at the cool drive modes. You have Watts to Freedom, WTF mode. You have crab walk. The roof panels come off. It's so hilariously wide it requires the triple running lights like a heavy duty truck. So again, this is not meant to be the responsible choice. It's the fun choice, right? If you look at a Rivian R1S or a Tesla Model X, those are probably the more responsible choices, but they don't have the sheer ridiculousness of the Hummer. I mean, just look at the sheer size of this thing. It's got 3 windshield wipers, but road tripping it is gonna cost me quite a lot. I'm currently averaging 1.2 miles per kilowatt hour. I'm just doing 73 miles an hour Super Cruise sitting here. At this rate, I might have to stop the charge again. What the heck? The typical debate. Do I drive faster, but then use more of my range and have to stop and charge? Or do I drive slowly to try to extend my range and make it without charging? Regardless, trying to make it without charging was going to be real tight, so I chose to drive a little bit quicker because that's also a little more enjoyable than chugging along at very, very slow speeds to try to maximize range. So we are going to stop and throw some more electrons in the battery pack. When you unlock the Hummer, here's the welcome sequence with the headlights and the light bar. It's pretty cool. We're at over 50%, which is enough to get me to my destination. So we're gonna go ahead and stop charging and get back on the road. Finally arriving. So this road trip is interesting because the fact that we had to stop and charge adds time, but then the fact that I have Super Cruise means it was a lot less like stressful and tiring to drive. So they kind of sort of balance themselves out. But with that, we are going to grab dinner because I am absolutely starving, and we'll be back in the Hummer tomorrow. This one is finished in Supernova Metallic, which is a very dark blue, which looks quite nice. They have some pretty awesome paint finishes on the Hummer. There's a matte green, there's a matte blue that looks really cool too, and the presence this thing has is just epic. I actually did a decent job parking it last night, and the parking space has so much. It gets a lot of attention, actually. I noticed a lot of people turning to take a look at it or coming up to me while I'm driving. I also prefer the looks of the SUV over the truck. I like the full-size spare out back, and it is an enormous spare. These are 22-inch wheels with the all-terrain tires, and they also do a really good job with this cool like H-shaped motif, this like kind of dog bone shape. So it's on the taillight here. It's all over the wheels too, right there. And then that little H pattern is also echoed on the interior. If we take a look at the air vents here, kind of have that shape. Even on this handle here, the accent, this little bronze accent, pretty cool. They do a very good job with the cool details. Found an older Hummer H3 hiding in the back corner of the parking lot. That actually looks comically small in comparison, but you see a lot of the design elements, the overall styling ethos is still pretty much the same. What are those wheels though? Ugh. Also, dang, parking is indeed hard. The Hummer EV is certainly gigantic, but it is also quite capable off-road. So we're gonna take a quick break from the regular vlog and go off-roading. Time to do some off-roading in the Hummer EV SUV. This one's actually still reasonably clean. My goal is to come back with it less clean. Let's go off-roading in the SUV. We are in off-road mode. We've got the rear diff currently locked. Got all our cameras pulled up. And we're doing a lead follow with a lineup of Hummer SUVs. So I got to off-road the truck when it first came out. We were out in Scottsdale in the desert, and it was pretty impressive for something that big and heavy. And I remember one of the most surreal things was how quiet everything was, right? We had like a row of 10 of these trucks, and when we were just stopped, we had the roof panels off, windows down, and it was just silence. Off-roading with an EV is really interesting because you get all of that torque and more finite control, and you can play around with little things. Like we've got this virtual locker because it's just got independent motors. So we've got the rear locking diff, and it's just it's a different kind of experience for sure. It is sometimes a little bit alarming to be off-roading in something the size, again, of a small house. This is the SUV, which is a little bit smaller than the truck, but it's still very hefty, large, heavy, but it's plenty capable. Rear wheel steering is one of the best things because in a large vehicle, it can shorten the wheelbase, which makes it more maneuverable. So it helps on the trails. You can actually feel the rear end pivoting when you're making some of these turns. And then of course you also have crab walk, which is fun. This is a situation where you may end up wanting to use crab walk when you're off-roading to try to get around an obstacle if it's tight. In the real world, it's just kind of a fun gimmick to show off, and it definitely attracted the headlines because I had a lot of people ask me, can you do the crab thing? Can you do the crab thing? And I'm like, yeah, cool. You press this and the whole thing goes sideways. It's a bizarre feeling if you've never tried crab walk before. Ooh, mud! Yes. Get this thing nice and muddy. That is the goal. All of the SUVs we're off-roading right now have the extreme off-road package. And as the name sounds, it is the more extreme off-road version of an already off-road capable Hummer. So you get smaller wheels. They're 18-inch wheels with 35-inch mud terrain tires. The protection is real beefy. The underbody skid plate, so pretty much from the front bumper to your rear axle, is all protected. You have the rock rails on the side, which also integrate as steps. You get additional underbody cameras, so I believe it's 17 on the SUV, 18 on the truck because the truck has one in the bed. The other major components are still the same, right? So we have the cool roof panels that you can remove. It's still got 830 horsepower, watts to freedom when you have the higher tier models. These are all 3X models, I believe. So 2X and 3X comes with crab walk, and then you can get watts to freedom, which unleashes all of that power and torque. Cameras are handy also for visibility because I can't see. Now I can see. Okay, I couldn't see where this trail was going. We're currently at Hollyoaks Off-Road Park, which is in the backyard of GM's development camp, so they came here a lot. Another big difference between the truck and the SUV is the SUV has about a 9-inch shorter wheelbase, which has a couple of effects. So you do have a slightly smaller battery pack, so a bit less range on the SUV, a little less power. It does weigh a bit less, but when you're off-roading, there is a big result, which makes this a bit more maneuverable, and you have better approach and departure angles, especially out back, because you don't have as much of an overhang. So in terms of ultimate off-road capability, the SUV is going to be more capable than the truck. I also do love seeing rear wheel steer in motion in front of us. It's pretty cool watching one of the Hummers in front, like the rear wheels pivoting. It's pretty awesome. Alrighty, I'm pretty sure we're gonna end up lifting at least one wheel off as we climb this. It's pretty steep. Gonna keep constant power. I'll let the vehicle figure out everything on its own. Yep, not bad. The cameras are the only way I could see anything because I was just pointing right at the sky. And then now I can flip a U-turn essentially in the space that a Chevy Malibu would flip a U-turn, except I'm 15 times the size of a Chevy Malibu. Can you drift a Hummer? You can drift a Hummer. Driving a Hummer also kind of turns you into a small child. No matter how mature you want to be and responsible, like you do watts to freedom once, you play around the crab walk, you floor it, you're like, oh yeah, and now off-roading. Drake is having fun in front of me. Oh yeah, it's a good day off-roading a Hummer SUV. Well, that was quite a bit of fun getting to take the Hummer SUV off-road, getting to actually exploit the capabilities of this, frankly, ridiculous over-the-top electric super SUV. With that, back to the rest of the vlog. So this is kind of weird. We have auto down windows for all four, but they aren't auto up. You have to hold them, which is kind of a strange thing on a six-figure vehicle. I like how it says armed. It is a tank. It is a tank of sorts. So foot all the way down on the brake. You floor it. Wait for the traffic to clear. The digital rearview mirror is also a hilarious angle because everything behind you looks like a toy car. Like, I don't even know what's right behind us because you just see the windshield of whatever is back there. But it's nice having a digital rearview mirror because your visibility out back is not fantastic with that gigantic spare tire. So it's definitely a necessary thing. We can go back to a regular mirror like that. This is pretty impressive. We're not on the freeway, just a 2-lane road here, and it's Super Cruise enabled. The little steering wheel icon popped up, and we're using Super Cruise right here, not only on divided highways now. Well, that's concerning. I have quite a long drive ahead of me and a lot of charging I need to do, and not much range left. That's not good. So we're just stuck on reconnecting the vehicle. The charger won't connect to the vehicle, so something is clearly wrong with the charge port. This is definitely a problem. We're going to try a different charging station. I don't think that's going to work because the problem seems to be with the vehicle. It's saying the charge port failed, service now. But for the sake of eliminating possibilities, we're going to try a different, slower charging station just to eliminate what could go wrong. But it's looking like I may not be driving this all the way back to Michigan, and I'll be swapping into a different car to get home. Gotta say, parking structures are a little bit stressful in the Hummer. These things are a little gigantic. Gotta be real careful. It's relatively maneuverable with the rear wheel steering. We just kind of gotta make sure you're placing and not scraping it, placing it properly and not scraping anything. There we go. So here's the situation. I will not be driving this Hummer back to Michigan because it is very unhappy. Service vehicle soon, high voltage system. I believe I'm getting a different Hummer dropped off and I'll be driving that one back to finish my time with the Hummer. So it'll be a direct swap over, but yeah, not ideal. Not ideal. Now I'm a little bit sad because I do really like the Hummer EV. I was actually browsing ones for sale the other day and checking out the lease deals. I think I saw something that if you get it through the Costco auto program, it's $1,000 off, although it is a $100,000 plus vehicle. But this is not fantastic. If I owned this, I would be taken to the dealership and be like, hey, something went wrong, it's under warranty, please fix it. But the fact that it's happening while I have a long drive back home is definitely the least ideal. Thank you to the GMC team for being so responsive. I called them and was like, help, I have an issue. Tried to troubleshoot it, key cycle, let it go to sleep. But things happen. I'm sharing it with you guys. This is my experience. While we are waiting, let's take a quick interior tour of the Hummer. So everything is very large and chunky to match the design and just the overall feel of this SUV. So we have the infotainment screen here in the middle, and then below that we have actual physical controls. So this screen here is not a touchscreen. If I want to change my heated seats, you press these toggles and it updates the screen, and you use these other toggles here, which is nice if you have gloves on or something. Same thing with your temperature settings, your fan speed. So that's physical controls there. Below that, heated steering wheel. This is your traction control toggle. You double tap that for watts to freedom and so forth. And then we have the infotainment screen here running CarPlay, and then we can scroll through and actually change what this screen displays. There's your tire pressures. The graphics are pretty awesome on this screen. They use Unreal Engine, the video game like graphic stuff, which is why when you change your drive modes, it's so cool. I can show you that right now. We have this rotary dial here. The inside, this is what you do for crab walk. So you hold that. It also controls your rear wheel steering settings. Get the noises there, which is pretty cool. See, look at those graphics already. You can also change what your rear wheel steering is doing. Airing suspension up and down with this. And then when you turn the outer dial, that's when you change the various different drive modes. So we've got My Mode, Off-Road, which is pretty cool. Looks like you're on Mars. Terrain, when you're on Volcano. Tow Haul, you pull in a Saturn V rocket. And there's normal, you're just driving around on the moon. There's another fun little Easter egg there in the corner. There's a little Hummer hiding there on the windshield. And this is a very vertical windshield, and I don't know if you can tell, but I killed a lot of bugs on this road trip for sure. We have swapped into our replacement Hummer. Thank you so much to the GMC team. This one is very orange and it still has Super Cruise, so time to hit the road. Super Cruise has been handling the worst of the traffic as we approach downtown Chicago. You can see the skyline there. We've got the Sears Tower over there. I will forever call it the Sears Tower, not the Willis Tower, whatever they call it now. Hopefully traffic lessens up as we get through. I will have to stop and charge. The one nice thing about slower speeds due to traffic is we are slightly more efficient, 1.7 miles per kilowatt hour. As the speeds climb, it definitely drops quite a lot. Stopping to charge at over 500 miles per hour. That's pretty impressive. It's delivering over 300 kilowatts right now. That's a pretty good charging speed. Oh look, a little Fiat 500e coming to charge. The smallest EV you can buy and one of the biggest EVs you can buy. So as we wait for the Hummer to finish charging again, let's wrap up some final thoughts on what it has been like to live with. I've been spending time with a 3X model, the tri-motor, so 830 horsepower, and without a doubt, the Hummer EV brings drama in the best way. It's so over-the-top, ridiculous, hilariously excessive in the most fun way. This is a halo model. It's designed to bring attention to the brand, and they accomplish it. Whether in SUV or truck form, it's just so excessive. It's massively wide. It's so heavy. It's the first time I've had to pay attention to weight limit signs, whether in a parking structure going over a bridge. I saw one that was like 4 tons, and I was like, wait, I think I'm heavier than that, right? It's so wide it requires triple running lights, but it brings drama. Watch the freedom, crab walk, the noises it makes when you change modes and so forth going into Watch the Freedom, the squat of the air suspension. It's not a rational, practical choice. The R1S, like from Rivian, is so much more responsible and reasonable. I'm spending some time with a Gen 2 Rivian R1S soon. I'm looking forward to that. But it doesn't match the drama of the Hummer, and that's what they needed to do, bring this back. There'll be more reasonable versions coming of electrified GMC, Chevy, SUVs, and so forth, right? Like the Sierra EV is much more normal. Maybe they'll do a version of the Yukon or something, but it's been hilarious. Road tripping it, I would not recommend per se. It's so ridiculously inefficient. I averaged like 1.2 miles per kilowatt hour. Obviously, I had that issue with the first blue one, and I'm very lucky that 1, I was in the Chicago area and was able to get it swapped out, and 2, I have a relationship with the GMC team, so I was able to call somebody, like, hey, the truck threw this problem, I'm trying to get home. Can you guys please help? And to their credit, they did everything possible and got me a different vehicle. Still a very long day. It was probably 7 hours driving back, including charging times. And this one with the extreme off-road package is even less efficient. But if you were an owner that happened to you, you'd be going to the dealership, checking to see what's going on under warranty. Hopefully it's a minor fix. I did everything from key cycle, trying different chargers and so forth. So that was a hiccup without a doubt. My Hummer changed colors during the span of my loan. But even without that, it's just the most inefficient EV, which is not ideal for road trip. It has a huge battery pack, but it just was eating through the range. And I wasn't going crazy fast either. It was just 72 miles an hour with Super Cruise. And it was this like interesting dilemma. I was telling some friends, it's like, because I had to stop to charge twice on a 300-mile drive. So should have been, if in a gas car, probably 4.5 hours without stopping from Detroit area to Chicago suburbs. I had to stop twice, so it would add time, probably an hour and a half-ish each way to charge. But at the same time, when I was on the road, I was just using Super Cruise, hands-free, traffic, no big deal. So I was much more relaxed. So it kind of just like balanced itself out. I wasn't tired or stressed because of Super Cruise, but it took more time. It was an interesting experience for sure. It's very expensive, very expensive. I probably spent over $200 charging it. And if you can find an Electrify America station, it charges quick. Precondition the battery. I was seeing over 300 kilowatt charging speeds, pretty sustained. So that was impressive, but it will cost you a lot to charge. That is without a single doubt. So is it worth the $100,000 something price point? If you want drama, ridiculous, over the top, just something that makes everything else seem kind of boring, then yeah, It's fun. It's a halo model. It's not meant to be the practical, responsible choice. It's just excessive more in every way. More lug nuts, more everything, more battery size, more weight, more, right? It's very American in that way. And I had fun with it. I had a lot of people who wanted to check it out, go for a ride, experience crab walk. They're like, oh, it does the crab thing, right? Can you take me for a spin? So I showed a couple friends that. And for a halo model, in my opinion, that's what it's supposed to accomplish. I'm sure we'll get more normal-ish vehicles in the future from the GM electrified family, maybe with the Sierra EV coming and so forth. But yeah, this was a fun, interesting week for sure with the GMC Hummer EV. Check out some of the other videos I have with the Hummers and other GM family vehicles. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.